And away we go. It's the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. They will deliver right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop. Or you can get down to Dayton, Kentucky, lunch and dinner, Wednesday through Sunday. Get yourself some of that Galactic goodness. They're flying a Republic of Cincinnati flag. Well, it's a sticker on the front door, but close enough. They are one of us, and it would be much appreciated if you go support them, not only because they are one of us, but also because the chicken is pretty damn awesome. So do that. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. All right, Aaron, let's get to it. Not a super busy, newsy weekend, but there is something that hit on Friday. I discussed this on radio a little bit if you listened on 1530 Friday evening. But I'm interested to see where this is going to go. I get the sense we're going to come from widely different perspectives here. So this one, we might yell at each other. So just know before we get into this, it's out of the place of love.
That's fine.
I'll put you in the driver's seat. You let the people know what we're talking about.
So Tennessee has to vacate 11 wins.
Who cares?
From 2019, 2020, due to, and I believe it ended up after the 2.5-year investigation, it ended up being, I think it was 19 infractions of the 200 that they faced that were all level 1, which contrary to burns, like you go with first degree burns or the easiest. That's what I have right here on these 2 fingers from tonight. Second degree burns.
You don't pick stuff up off the Blackstone.
It wasn't off the black. It was next to it, and it came from the vent anyway.
What had happened was
the left side was cold. This hand is fine. I picked up anyway. I'm the shit out of myself, man. But level 1 is the worst. That's the worst that you can get.
Yes.
And they were facing 19 is what they ended up getting hit with. But originally they were hit with 200 infractions that totaled in the amount of, after 2.5 years of investigation or legality in courts and what have you, ended up being 19 and about $60,000 worth of unofficial visits, largely hotels paid for by Coach Pruitt, who was prior to Josh Heupel at Tennessee. And they were not given any postseason ban. They were not given any scholarship rescindments. They were strictly given an $8 million fine. There was several coaches placed on lost cause, including Coach Pruitt.
6-year show cause. If you hire him with the knowledge he has to sit out a year. Like, he will not be your coach for the first. Like, he won't. So he's
also currently unemployed. There is that.
His head coaching career is done.
If you bring him in as an assistant, could you potentially just use that as his 1 year out?
I don't know exactly how that works, but I can't imagine there's a place that's like, we're just going to have 9 assistants this year because we're going to hire this dude that has to
West Virginia, come on down. Yeah, you're next on The Price is Right.
Neil, here's your new associate head coach. We're just going to give him the year off, and then next year he'll be here for you. He'll be your right-hand man. Keep it. Good luck, buddy.
But it just seems odd for the way that they handled this, when we've seen even recently the way that LSU was handled, the way that we've seen even in recent memory, the way that the gold pants at Ohio State was handled, the way that
that's not recent memory. We're a world away from that.
Even the way that Memphis and Penny Hardaway though was handled. I feel like there's been a lot of different things in a lot of different places that have been handled. Even if you're looking at the gambling allegations against Cincinnati.
So there's generally been one big major difference in the severity of infractions, and that is cooperation and defiance.
I do want to point out that in the articles that I read, assistant coaches were saying that Josh Heupel paid for it all out of pocket, or I'm sorry, not Josh Heupel. That
Pruitt
paid all of it out of pocket, and that's how they hit it. Pruitt says that his assistants handled all of it, and he didn't know that any of it was happening. And I don't know how that's not something that you can figure out by subpoenaing bank statements.
Well,
unless it was cash, straight cash, homie.
I've told this story before. I won't say who, but there's one basketball coach I know that takes $300 a day out of his. Now you're allowed. Yeah, you're allowed to take a couple $100 a day out of your ATM. He takes $300 a day out of his ATM and just puts it aside, and it's there for later usage. Break glass in case of emergency.
Weird.
Yeah,
can't imagine why you would need to do anything like that. But I don't know. It just seems strange to me that you would have set a precedent in years past, decades past. I mean, you had Reggie Bush. His parents received a home, and obviously that's a little bit more than 60,000. Granted.
So we are in a different world, though. Like,
did this new world order just start?
Yes, kind of.
I guess
because now paying players is legal. So here's the problem, Aaron. If the NCAA has this stuff go to court, they know they can't win. They know they can't win. So what you have to do now is come up with some way to slap the school on the wrist and say, bad dog, and get away with it without it going to court. Like, you have to. Like, there's nothing. They can't win. Again, they lost this battle in the Supreme Court 9-0 on a group of people that don't agree on anything. They agreed on this 9-0.
The difference is when you're paying for unofficial visits for the parents of players, future players, and you're paying for them to stay in hotels to the amount of $60,000. How's that not a recruiting benefit? And I understand. I understand that you don't want to
punishment. That's why they're punished. That's why Tennessee is accepting the punishment.
Well, of course they are.
Well,
for all the reasons.
They found a middle ground where
here's the biggest problem I have.
Alone, we'll leave you alone.
Here's the biggest problem I have with all of it is if you're a program that makes dumb money, if you're in the Big Ten, if you're in the SEC making dumb money, the $8 million isn't anything to you. So why wouldn't every program be doing this and saying, fuck it, we got this, we're good. $8 million, you set the bar. $8 million, we're good. I understand I do understand not wanting to penalize the current players. I understand not wanting to penalize the current coach because it is different than what it was. But at the same time, you penalize the program.
So essentially
one more point. You penalize the program by taking away bowl eligibility. You take away the fact that I get not wanting to do that. They didn't do this, but you penalize the program. They fucked up.
They penalized the program. Guess what, Aaron? Essentially what they did is they penalized them 2 years worth of bowl money, like what you would make in postseason funds. Roughly about $4 million a year. That's what they penalized them.
We've seen Tennessee when they threw the field goal posts into the river, fundraise with the best of them.
Sure, there's an absurd amount of money in Tennessee. What's that
So
have to do
$8
with
million is a drop in the bucket. It doesn't
Aaron,
make the penalty
Aaron,
doesn't fit the crime.
It's. Do you think somebody really cares that Tennessee in 2019 and 2020 didn't play in a bowl and then played in the ball washer economics bowl? Like
I don't care what they
nobody
think.
cares.
It's the fact that they were level 1 infractions. These are the worst of the infractions.
They
you
are
had 200
penalizing them the money
200
that they would have made in the next 2 bowl cycles.
200 knocked to 19 level 1 infractions. So now we're not doing anything with level 1 infractions.
They're toothless.
Nothing.
Paying players is a toothless fight for the NCAA. They can't win that fight. We have seen it in all of the punishments that have come in basketball.
If it was unofficial visits, they were not players yet.
It doesn't matter. The courts have deemed if you're a student, if you're an athlete, you're an athlete. Like there's no age level that like dictates, oh well, they're not an athlete then, and they are an athlete now.
No, but they were not
benefits for their name, image, and likeness.
They were not yet players, so they were using this as a recruiting tool.
They are a player. They were not yet a player at Tennessee.
Correct.
But they are a player. So if that goes to court, the NCAA can't win, is what I'm trying to explain. They can't win. They can't win. They won't win.
I think that they've painted. Again, we talked about this numerous times because they dug their heels in so badly on all of this that they painted themselves into a corner. But I do think that the precedent that they have set in the past that they are now going back on is
they
that
don't have a choice. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Regardless, it's gross negligence, and I don't feel like the punishment fits the crime compared to what we've seen in the past. And I don't know what's to keep anybody from doing any of this from here to forward.
Cheat your ass off. They have made it very clear there's nothing they can do.
Then I guess the biggest issue I see with this compared to why are we holding people back on this second transfer bullshit? None of this makes any sense. None of this makes any sense together.
Well, because it's one of the few things.
We're going to go against the players, but we're not going to go against the coaches that are paying for the players to come and visit. Yeah,
it's one of the few things that they have any teeth on.
Garbage.
It goes back, and here's what my point was until we took this long winding road to get here. I'm fine with no bowl ban. The players that are in that program now should not have to pay for the sins of look, that was 2019. We're going on 5 years from when all that happened.
But the AD should have.
Let me speak. Remember, those kids. That's already 2 cycles in today's day and age from when those kids got to Tennessee. Those kids, they don't know a single guy that was being recruited by Tennessee in 2018, the way that this thing works now. So you don't punish them. Now, they got that part right, but they still did the one thing that shows the NCAA is not about the welfare or concern of the student athletes, and that's they penalized them scholarships. I think it's 2 scholarships in the recruiting. They're docked 2 spots a year in the recruiting. You know who usually gets those scholarships, Aaron?
Kickers.
Ryan Royer. Walk-ons. Guys that have busted their ass for 4 years in the program, 5 years in the program. They get their final year paid for with those scholarships all the way at the back end of the roster. You're not punishing with that move. You're not punishing anything that other than the student athletes. There's 85 in football. There's 85 kids on the roster. Oh, now there's 83. Oh, darn, man. They're really going to suck this year. They've only got 83 scholarships instead of 85. The fuck out of here.
You know how I think you better penalize the program? Because I don't think...
Lots of money. Lots of money.
You make it a percentage, not an actual dollar amount, right? you make it a percentage of TV revenue. That's where it hurts.
I don't
make it a percentage of TV revenue. Make it don't make it the scholarship shit. I'm over penalizing scholarships. It should always be 85. Period. End dot. I don't even want to hear about we're gonna take away scholarships because it didn't affect anybody on the current roster. And even if it did, even if anybody, that's stupid.
It's stupid. It's pointless.
Penalize the TV revenue and make it a percentage on the TV revenue. That way the punishment fits the crime, regardless of whether you're SEC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC, American, Big East, whatever. And go to
your mid-majors. Punishing people very differently based on what their TV revenue is. Somebody in the MAC, well, screw it. We're fucking cheating. Our TV revenue is $14.37. They're taking 10%. Here's your $1.40, bro.
Don't cheat. It's a real quick fix. Don't cheat.
Aaron, if I'm in the MAC and it's a percentage of my TV revenue, I'm cheating everywhere. I'm doing that. I don't give a fuck about the rules. That's why you can't make it a percentage. What I do think, where I would like to see this worded differently is we're taking 100% of Tennessee's postseason revenue for 2 years. So you say it out loud. They did it without saying it. You know what I mean? We're taking $8 million. Well, the $8 million is about what they make over 2 years in postseason funds.
It's still nothing if
just say it.
If you're making $100 million, though, what's $8 million? It's a drop in the bucket.
If you have $100 and I take 10,
that's a drop in the bucket.
That's decent. 10% is not a minimalistic thing, and they're not making 100. They're only making about 60 right now.
If you have
$60 and I take 10,
if you're making 14,
you're not real happy with me.
If you're making 14 and I take $1.40, that's still the same. That's my entire point when I say take a percentage.
Yeah, but in the MAC, they don't care about the TV money because they don't make any.
In the MAC,
that's not a deterrent to anything.
In the MAC, they're also not recruiting to the same level. And if you're actually able to afford, as a MAC coach, $60,000 out of pocket, congratulations, sir. You came from wealth.
There are some MAC schools that have a little bit of coin.
Well, then 10% should still hurt.
No, in terms of what they could do under the table.
Well, that's again
on the cheating side of things. But here's the other problem, Aaron.
Most blacklist your coach. You still blacklist the coach.
It's still not cheating anymore. The unofficial visit stuff, that's not cheating now, Aaron. Kids can now take, starting August 1st, as many official visits as they want.
Not paid for, and their families paid for, unofficially.
Yes.
Unofficially paid for.
Kids can take as many official visits as they want.
These were unofficial.
What? Kids used to only be able to take 5 official visits.
Right.
So you had to work outside of that structure.
I understand.
Now they can only go to each school once in football. But you can official visit as many places you want to official visit now. There's no limit of 5. So that is out the window.
Well,
you can if you want to pay for it, you can bring them in and pay for it.
Out the window should be the way that this whole Tennessee situation was handled, because all of it is bullshit, in my opinion, and the penalty does not fit the crime.
I'm just saying, get used to it. If there's nothing you can do, if you're going to get sued and you know you're going to lose, what can you do?
It's a story for another day.
That's the nightcap. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks to Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See it.